Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Curse 20. My name is Cody, and today I've decided to bring you along in a world building exercise. We just finished recording and playing through our Curse 1's actual play. We were playing through the D&D 5e module Curse Estrad. And at the beginning of next year, we're going to be playing through my friend Zach's homebrew campaign that he's titled The Weeping Tree. And hopefully we'll have some videos coming out about that soon. But after that, end of spring, beginning of summer, we're going to be playing in a different world, well, a different galaxy. We're going to be playing in a homebrew campaign of mine that I've titled Auto DM. It is a space campaign. We'll be transversing the galaxy and exploring different planets and how they interact with each other. So today, I've broken down the 10 major kingdoms that control wide swaths of the galaxy, and there'll be independent city-states or city-state planets and stuff like that along the way. But the 10 major kingdoms that control most of them, I've broken out their names and what type of species dominates that section of space. And you're going to have classical D&D species along with some like other alien species that are, or races that are heavily inspired by Star Wars, right? And we'll get into that in a different video about how the history of how Auto DM came to place. But basically, the major D&D races came from an alternate version of our world and started exploring the universe and eventually conquered this galaxy. So then they're now the dominant 10 or so races that control the galaxy. And there'll be some smaller races in between that are vying for their freedom again. But we're going to start off with the 10 kingdom names. We will have Hepsuis, Asmyria, Gaymargo, Thytiara, Drursissa, Adaphialia, Dalia Olia, Og, Odad, and Ugloth. I don't know if I pronounced all those right, even though I made up the name. The pronunciation, the way you say those names might change as the campaign goes on. The kingdom of Hepsuis will be heavily dominated by the elves. The kingdom of Asmyria will be heavily dominated by halflings and gnomes. They kind of joined together because they were too weak on their own. The kingdom of Gaymargo will be heavily dominated by Dragonborn. The kingdom of Thytiara will be Fey dominated, basically the Feywild. Drursissa will be human dominated, while Adaphialia will be, I don't know how else to call it other than the animal kingdom. It'll be all the humanoid animals. It'll be like your Leonin, your Tabaxi, maybe like your centaurs and your minotaurs. Anything animal-based will be in this section of space. Then you'll have Dalia Olia, which will be dwarf-dominated. Og will be goblins and orcs. Odad will be your Goliaths, while Ugloth will be your tieflings. Not only did I get those figured out, and these are all subject to change, this is kind of just like how I'm feeling in the moment, and we're not probably going to start playing this campaign for like 4 to 6 months. I did kind of figure out a nifty little, like, how the kingdoms interact with each other. I don't know how well you can see this whiteboard. Oh, I forgot to mention, at the very top is Addo. It is a singular planet. Think Coruscant. It is heavily dominated by humans and Asimirs. And they're like the peacekeeping planet in the middle. There's this faction called the UWG, the United Worlds of the Galaxy. And Addo is at the helm of that. They're trying to bring peace to the entirety of the galaxy. And Addo is an independent planet that none of these people would try to conquer because they control faster than light travel. I think I'm going to use something like the teleportation circles. They control all the teleportation circles. They can decide who can teleport where and who can teleport to them and back, or they can shut it all off. So effectively, if anybody was to try to invade Addo, they could be isolated to their section of space. Say the goblins decided, or where'd they go? The goblins decided to invade Addo. They could turn off their hyperspace and then keep everybody else's hyperspace on to invade their land. You know what I'm saying? That's why nobody would dare invade Addo. They're kind of a standalone world. But I did this little thing. The green lines are kingdoms that are friends, while the purple lines are kingdoms that are like sworn enemies. So right here, you can see that the elves are sworn enemies of the dwarfs, and also the sworn enemies of the Goliaths, right? While the Fae are sworn enemies of the Tiefling, right? They don't like each other at all. The halflings and gnomes and the humans are friends. The elves and the humans are friends, and the humans and the dwarves are friends, which does create some weird tension between those three kingdoms, as the elves and the dwarves are at constant war, and they each expect the humans to join them, and they never do, and it's starting to create some tensions. You can also see that the Goliaths, or the goblins, are friends with the Goliaths and the Tieflings, while the Tieflings aren't necessarily friends with the Goliaths. So that's kind of how it's kind of broken down there. And again, I might change this as it goes on. This is just kind of how I'm thinking now. And I think that's actually where our campaign is going to kick off. There's our main characters, our PCs, are going to be working for a guy named Nero, who's like a middle level ambassador for the UWG. And they're going to be sending him, I think, on a mission to try to convince the elves to stop their war with the dwarves. Okay, and to focus on just dealing with the goblins. The goblins are more like raiders, and they've been like upping their raiding and actually like conquering small settlements now. I think the United Worlds of the Galaxy, the UWG, is sending Nero on a mission to convince the elves to stop their war with the dwarves and help the humans, or help Addo get the goblins and the orc populations in control. And that's where our PCs come in. You can go watch on our channel. We've dropped a video about the beginning concepts of each character's creation. There's the mechanic, which is going to be David's character. He's going to be your like Doc Brown style engineer. We have the luchador, which is going to be Zach's character, who's heavily based off of Nacho Libre. And then there'll be the scout, which will be Zach's or Dylan's character, which is heavily inspired by like the scout, and also like Steve Rogers before he became Captain America in the movie Captain America. And they're all work for Nero. And whether they're friends or not, I'll leave that up to them. But they're going to be sent with him on his peacekeeping mission to the elves to convince them to stop the war with the dwarves. And I think that's going to be the kickoff to the campaign. And that's kind of what I have so far. This is very beginning concept. I just finished my last campaign, so now I finally have full mental focus to start building my own homebrew galaxy. This is all subject to change. Like I said, this is kind of like my starting off point to figure out where I want the story to go. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, I'm planning on doing a live on our channel to kind of break this, go into depth more about maybe the history of each kingdom, and maybe change or give more details about how they interact with each other, and about the lore and the history about how all of these quote-unquote traditional D&D races came to be in control of the galaxy, and about the state of the galaxy as a whole where we're at. So keep a lookout for any announcements of future lives on our channel where you guys can come and interact with us and help us figure these things out for a very big undertaking. Hey, this has been Curse20. Please like and subscribe. Hit the bell to keep updated on our notifications. Thank you for watching, and roll well.